to the Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and joining me today, I tried to give him COVID at Outdoor Retailer, but he said, no way, it's Justin Hausman!
I was just about to say that you do sound like you've had COVID for like a week. Your voice is a little flat, my friend.
It's better than it was. The episode I recorded last week before I knew I was sick, I listened to it over the weekend. I'm like, ooh, I have travel and COVID voice going on in that episode. It was a little rough.
Yeah, my voice was hoarse after we got back because I'm not used to speaking to any other human beings besides my children, which is a whole different like octave that I use in my voice, and you. So that's it.
I will say,
so
we're recording this on Monday, the 24th. It goes up on the 25th, Tuesday. We're going to talk to Christina Henderson from Switchback this week. We haven't done it yet, but I think no matter what else I'm going to say to her, I want to thank you for choosing Nashville. Because why do we keep putting all these trade shows at high altitude, arid climates after we get off of airplanes?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have a cold sore. Thanks to this trip because my lips are so damn dry.
So I didn't give you COVID, but I gave you a cold sore. Nice.
Somebody did. I don't know.
Well, today we're going to run through some of the more notable or exciting headlines that come out of the outdoor industry and community, including the latest outdoor participation numbers released by the OIA, Shaun White's new league of snowboarding people, and Amazon's...
Snowboarding people. Is that what it's called?
No, I called it that.
The new league of snowboarding people makes just as much sense as any other sports.
That's kind of why I thought it was funny when I wrote it.
My life.
As well as Amazon's new environmental commitment. But before we get to that, we got a few housekeeping items for you. We need you to, we've asked you a lot. We're going to ask you again. We need you to follow and rate The Rock Fight wherever you're listening on any podcast app. Please leave us that 5-star rating.
And we know. We're paying attention. We know we're Santa Claus. We know if you don't. We know.
Can we
and we don't forget.
Can we reverse engineer it from the lack of rating to find out who didn't actually leave the
Probably.
rating? Probably.
Yeah, we'll work on that. Yeah, we have AI. We have ChatGPT. How hard could it be?
And if you're an Apple Podcast listener, we need you to leave us a written review, please. And from now until the end of June, which is this week, this is your last week, we'll probably keep it going. But anyway, email us at myrockfight@gmail.com, and we'll send you a rock fight or a gear and beer sticker. Stickers start shipping out this week. We're back from traveling. We're back from COVID. Well, I'm back from COVID. We got a shout out. We got to meet Jenna Quick, who's one of our listeners, last week at our live show, and give her stickers in person. That was really cool. So
that was awesome. That was actually really fun.
That was really cool.
The best. That was kind of the highlight of Outdoor Retailer.
Hey, and remember, Gear and Beer now is its own podcast feed. Go follow and rate Gear and Beer wherever you're listening to The Rock Fight. All right, leave us a review on Gear and Beer at Apple Podcasts if you're doing that as well. And also, in addition to all of that, Justin, how can our listeners follow along and reach out to the show?
Well, email is probably the easiest and the one that we get the most excited about. And you can find us you can send us your email at myrockfight@gmail.com. Colin's addition to every possible social media out there. So, and our Instagram handle is rockfight.co. So send us some notes there. I can't remember what Colin's OnlyFans address is. Colin, can you remind?
We're running a special this week. If you send me a review at OnlyFans, I'll send you a customized video along with your Rock Fight stickers.
Also, go sign up for our newsletter.
Yeah.
That's at their website, rockfight.co, and click on join the mailing list, and your inbox will be delighted every Sunday with Colin's bon mots, and I don't know, whatever the fuck he feels like putting in there is going to show up in your inbox.
Well, Justin, are you ready for more?
Yeah, not always, but I am right now.
Well,
yeah, why do you ask?
Because it's time for more with Thermore.
Do you mean? Are you talking about the Italian insulation brand that basically created the idea of insulation?
Yes, it's our weekly segment presented by Thermore, who is, you said, the original ingredient brand providing insulation solutions from Italy since, you remember?
1972, the year Colin was born. Just kidding, that's not the year you were born.
All right, so quick check on our getting more out of our summer. How are you doing against the goals we set a few weeks ago?
Do you really think I remember those goals? Catch the fish. That
you can't do
catch
that
a fish
yet,
in the West Walker. Can't do that yet.
Right?
It's open, but the river's too big. I might go this weekend, so that could happen this weekend. Although the river's probably moving too fast. What was the other ones?
Backpacking with your kid?
Backpacking. I have thought about it and talked about it with another dad. We were trading backpacking options.
Excellent.
So that's in the cards. Was surfing more part of it because I surfed this weekend? Baja trip. No, but I have friends that are going. Does that count?
No.
All right.
Yeah, I'm 0 for 2 between trade shows and COVID. I'm like,
You're not even close.
I'm not even close. I got up to walk the dog this morning. I thought that was great. So I'm going to try and go for a bike ride later. But
you mean like the yo-yo trick?
But what?
You mean the yo-yo trick, walk the dog? Is that what you're doing? Or are you actually walking your actual dog?
Were you a yo-yo guy back in the...
No, but I do think it's extremely cool.
You know, your things are a little more lofty. You're going to have to plan yours out. I'm going to try and get back on track this week. But, you know, we got to commit to doing a little bit more this week. We've had a lot going on the last couple of weeks. This week we're going to do more. You said you got in the water, which is great. Now, did you see up in your neck of the woods, there was a big story. There's a guy who kind of emerged from the woods in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
He sure did emerge from the woods. John the Baptist, wandering after... Only 10 days, looks like 40 years as far as I'm concerned.
So, you know, that guy looks like he's been doing way more than you, clearly.
He's been doing more than me, yeah, for sure.
What are you going to do as we lead into the holiday week here in the U.S.?
Open ocean paddling.
Okay, say more. What do you mean? Like just...
I mean, the waves have been shit.
Okay.
I'm going to get out my biggest surfboard. I'm just going to paddle.
Just paddle around?
Just paddle. Get all, oh boy, get all yoked, get all tan. Yeah, that's my plan.
What?
And then,
yeah,
if the day comes where I actually, I need to paddle from like here to, I don't know, the Farallones for some reason, I'll be ready. That's my plan.
So is that when you say, are you going to be like kneeling on the board?
Sometimes, yeah.
Or just in the prone position paddling?
Back and forth, yeah. Your back gets tired, hop up on the knees, back and forth.
How long are you going to do that?
Just probably like 20 minutes and be like, oh, this is hard. And turn around and just go back, get a donut.
Well, I'm also going to get more in the water because one of my goals is to surf 2 times a week. So the next time we record, I better have surfed twice. That's going to be my goal.
Well, anyway, I'm going to be spending some time in the ocean doing paddleboarding. You're going to be surfing in the ocean. That's good. Just looking at the ocean, generally speaking, more likely in your case, because it sounds like you go there a lot and then just leave.
Only that one time.
Okay.
Well, it's interesting we both mentioned getting in the ocean because today's episode of The Rock Fight is presented, as we said, by the original ingredient brand Thermore, who wants you to get more out of your outdoor adventures with products like EcoDown Fibers Ocean. EcoDown Fibers Ocean is made exclusively from Ocean Cycle certified plastics, which is the same ocean-bound plastic that makes up 80% of the plastics found in our oceans. EcoDown Fibers Ocean is light, extremely soft, durable, and warm, and allows for a more sustainable choice for outdoor brands looking for a better way to keep you warm on chilly summer mornings and evenings. Hey, outdoor apparel brands, maybe you're out there listening to this. Instead of that cheap off-the-rack fill you put in your puffy coats, maybe hit up Thermore. Take a look at EcoDown Fibers Ocean as the insulation solution for your next jacket. And to all of our listeners, don't forget to do more in the outdoors this summer with Thermore.
We should probably explain that ocean-bound plastic is I guess it's exactly what it sounds like, but it took me a minute. It's if you see like a bottle bounding around like outside of a creek that flows into the ocean, that plastic is bound for the ocean.
Right.
That's what that means.
It's not stuff already in the ocean.
Yeah, it's really difficult it's difficult if not impossible to deal with the ocean to deal with plastic that's been in the ocean, depending on what you want to do with it. Like the salt water degrades it really, really fast. Yeah. So you want to catch that stuff before it even gets out there. I mean, it's great to clean up the plastic in the ocean. And there are some things you can do with some of the plastic, like fishing nets and stuff like that. You can turn into other things.
Right.
But most of the time, if you're getting like shorts or something made out of recycled bottles or whatever, like that stuff that like somebody took to a recycling facility, it's not something that we like fished out of the sea. Right, so keeping it from the ocean is hugely important. It also is one of my biggest bugaboos in life. I get so angry when I'm walking around creeks and there's plastic bottles lying around. I mean, as someone who spends a lot of time in the ocean, you see all that stuff out there. Yeah, and it's pretty horrific. So good on Thermore for doing that.
All right, man, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to kick off headlines with an absolute banger of a story. We'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by Switchback Spring, the new outdoor industry gathering for education, networking, and business, coming to Nashville, June 2025. Connect with peers and players in gear, footwear, apparel, hiking, camping, trail running, and more for 3 days of learning, discovery, and celebration. Switchback Spring is the new go-to meetup for specialty retailers, brands, media, and outdoor organizations. Mark your calendars for June 16 to 18, 2025. Visit switchbackevent.com for all of the details and start planning your new outdoor industry adventure. All right, so first up, we got a story. It was reported by SGB. The Outdoor Industry Association last week released its 2024 Trends Report, and it shows that in 2023, outdoor recreation grew to record levels, growing 4.1% to 175.8 million participants, which is up 14.4% from the 153.6 million participants in 2019. Among the positive trends is that over half of women in the U.S. are participating in outdoor activities, with female participation rates hitting 51.9%, up from 50% in 2022. But while this growth is to be celebrated, the category of core or very frequent participants is spiraling downward, apparently. In 2019, it was measured that 99.4 million participants were core versus 88.4 million in 2023. And this decline is what the OIA has said is contributing to lower retail sales, even while overall participation is on the rise. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here, and probably a good opportunity to, down the road, bring someone from the OIA, to sit with us and kind of dig into some more of the specifics. But I think this kind of goes hand in hand with what we're seeing in the outdoor space when it comes to media and trade show and gatherings. I mean, the sort of, the badass hardcore of it all doesn't seem to matter anymore. People just recognize that going outside is healthy and they're doing it more. And it's probably likely that our hardcore generation is starting to age out in a way. I don't know. What do you make of all this?
I don't. Usually these sorts of things strike me as not untrue, but misidentified. I mean, I would love to know what a core participant is. I'm guessing it's someone who's usually when in the surf world, it's like, oh, you went surfing 4 times in a year. It's like, okay, that doesn't fucking count. I doubt very much that core participants in terms of what you would consider someone who's built a life around these things is really declining all that much. I don't think that core participation and the rise of just like noob participation or whatever you want to call it, those things don't necessarily have to have anything to do with one another. Like you can celebrate that new people are coming in and that's wonderful, but that shouldn't in and of itself cause there to be fewer core participants.
Right. I don't think there's a causality between the two, right?
I mean, maybe there is, but fuck, it's funny. I will say that part of the reason I surf less is because it's so much more crowded. That has a lot to do with it. So it is possible.
You're also 45 with 2 kids,
Well, right. But even if honestly, it's that doesn't, my kids are in daycare all day. Like I could go surf whenever I want. I mean, it used to be a big priority all the time. And now it's like, I look at the cams and there's 37 heads bobbing. I'm just like, I'm not dealing with that. Like if you talk to most of us that have surfed for a really long time, we'll all talk about this. Like crowds have kind of made it less pleasant to go. You can't just go for a quick surf and get a bunch of waves. Now it's like a thing. So I could see that, but that's surfing is very, it's a shared resource. It's not the same thing as hiking or climbing or riding a bike or whatever. So that might be useless data. But anyway, I don't think it's good. Like I think it can't be a good sign. I mean, why would that be the case? Let's talk through it, right? Like, I guess there could have been a bulge in people that got super hardcore into stuff, and that you're right, they're like aging out. Okay, but why wasn't there a younger generation coming up also wanting to do this shit all the time? I mean, to me, it feels like there's fewer people who build their lives around these sorts of things. I guess like remember that guy we met at OR who was like living in his van and selling that phone leash.
I saw an ad on Instagram today for it with him.
And he just wanted to live in his van. Like, how often do you see people like that anymore who aren't like super rich and live in their van means
my dad
be
bought
VP
me
of
this
marketing
van.
Or they're like still the VP of marketing. They just do it out of a Sprinter, right? I don't. It's possible that you just can't be a core participant as much anymore.
I think there is something to the generational thing, though, right? Because like when the kind of industries really started to come of age, like the MTV Sports generation, where it was so
Dan Cortez.
Yeah, it was so badass to do these things.
I call them the Dan Cortez generation.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and I worship at the altar of Dan. We still have a long-term goal to get Dan Cortez on this show. I think if the day Dan Cortez comes on, we're a wrap. It's over.
Is it still a goal if you've never tried?
I have tried.
You've tried?
Yeah.
How did you try? What do you do?
Through social media, LinkedIn.
Anybody know Dan Cortez out there?
I've done that too. Let's do it. We've a bigger audience now probably than the last time I did it. If anyone listening knows Dan Cortez.
Who's the most, who listens to us with the most pull?
Oh, I'm sure there's somebody. Come on now. Let's go.
That we know.
We need Dan Cortez to come on the Rock Fight and talk about him. I want to talk about MTV Sports and Rock and Jock softball. But to me, it's like that was so. I was talking with Adam Ruggiero actually earlier today. All right, and we're from Gear Junkie.
He's kind of got some Dan Cortez like.
He's got a little Dan Cortez in him, doesn't he? The hair, especially, right?
Yeah.
But we were talking about how like backcountry skiing, about how we can't get past the risk, and like it's a foregone conclusion that you're probably going to die doing this. And now I think even younger generations would look at that, where they're much more thoughtful. The kids who are being raised today, they're much more in tune with like things socially. They're going to look at that.
You're saying they're scared.
They're probably smartly scared of things. Versus our generation was like, dude, you could die doing this. Let's fucking go.
I don't think that's it. I think it's more depressing than that. I don't think it's that. It has to have something to do with people just can't afford to do it anymore. It has to be.
Well, maybe it's just all of the above. I mean, this is why we should definitely have somebody, without speculating too much from the
They
OIA
don't know.
on.
Like you think?
Well, they'll
you
know the data source that they're reporting
yeah,
from.
sure, but I mean, they're not going to have any answers. I mean, I don't know. I like all the evidence you can muster for something like this is going to be anecdotal, at least
That's
in
true.
our seats. And I can tell you for sure that crowding does make people who have done something for a really long time without having to suffer crowds want to do it less. So there could be some of that. I mean, I remember. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but Daniel Duane, one of my favorite writers, who he writes a lot about climbing now, wrote a story, and I think it was in the New York Times maybe, and he was talking about climbing Cathedral Peak in Yosemite, and which is beautiful. If you've never seen it, it's, wow, what a beautiful thing. And he said when you first started climbing it, you just go there and just climb, and you might see somebody. And now every time you want to go to climb, there's like a really long line at the crag. So he doesn't go anymore. So is it it partially that?
Or you go somewhere else, right? So,
or you go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I mean, you see where I'm getting.
Yeah,
at.
totally.
His coreness of that situation is technically speaking less because he isn't doing it as much.
No, that's a good point. For as much as I, pick at skiing because as an outdoor activity, whatever, I still really enjoy skiing. We lived in Utah for 4 years. I skied every winter. I had a blast doing it with my kids. Loved going skiing. I will never go out of my way to go skiing right now because the last couple times I've gone is exactly what you described. It's crowded. If I lived in the town, sure, but I'm not living in the town. So that means I'm a weekend warrior who's got to drive to a ski resort and deal with all the crowded nature of the ski resorts and the risks that come with it. I'm just not willing to do it.
The data is also weird because it says, okay, so we've had we're years past the pandemic now, or at least years past the surge when the surge started. So theoretically, these people should be core. There should be people that are core now who didn't even do these things 5 years ago or 4 years ago. Right? So why is that number still not it's not being replenished? You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's it. That's why I wonder if there's a healthier approach to it. If it's just like, hey, I enjoy going outside, but I do lots of different things versus I make this my life. And is that necessarily a bad thing? I don't know if that's a bad thing. That the core numbers aren't getting replenished. And I mean I guess on the one side where it is getting replenished, there's another quote from the article that the traditional hardcore high frequency participants who are most often male and white will make up a smaller share of the participant base year over year in the indefinite future. As
I see that as being sad and has nothing to do with the ethnicity or whatever.
Oh my
of the people.
God, are we going full Fox News right now?
I keep thinking back to when I was a kid growing up surfing, there were lots of just in Australia they call them tradies, guys who who just had the least responsible job they could possibly have, that paid decently. Usually it was in carpentry or something like that where they could take a job or leave a job. And they had old battered trucks and they didn't have a nice place because they loved to surf. And that's what they wanted to do.
Don't you think that's the top of the pyramid of the core? There's probably
but that doesn't. I don't even think that happens anymore.
Well, that's what we need to find out.
If I go back to that same town where I grew up, there'd be very few of those guys left. There'd be guys that drove trucks that work in construction, but they'd be the contractors and their trucks are $90,000. It's just a whole different situation.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of this probably has to do with people just can't afford to be a dirtbag the way they used to be able to.
Well, or in Central Coast California, maybe they've moved to the Georgia coast.
Yeah, maybe.
Or something.
Maybe
they're on the East Coast now,
or they don't respond to fucking surveys. That. No one has ever asked me how often I surf or fish or hike ever.
Right.
So I don't even know where these surveys are.
Well, you know what? I'm going to reach out to the OIA. I'd really like to have somebody. This is an interesting one to dig into because there might be just some really simple things that clarify what we're talking about. I think there's probably an element of truth in almost everything that we're saying. I do think things are obviously different. And in a lot of ways, they're getting better. I mean, the female participation, the diversity is improving, all of the things that we've wanted to have happen.
Well, yeah, but that shouldn't necessarily. Yeah, totally. But again, why if that? I still don't understand why those. I guess maybe what you're saying is that they're participating is more than they were in the past, but they don't feel the need to build their lives around it and do it 20 times a week. Yeah.
All right, a lot of coverage in this next topic, and for our purposes, I'm pulling this from Outside Online and from the AP. This past week, Shaun White announced the formation of the Snow League, a new season-long series.
I'm guessing these are crime fighters that in the Arctic.
Yep.
Yeah.
DC Comics is sponsoring, and
that would be so dope.
That'd be way better than what this actually is.
So much fucking cooler.
A new season-long series of half-bike competitions for snowboarders and free skiers that will debut next winter. Over the course of 5 events with a combined purse of $1.5 million.
Over 5 events?
5 events for the first year, yeah. And so it's going to start in the U.S., and then there'll be 4 other events around the world. The announcement of the Snow League came just days after X Games announced the X Games League that will be more team-based versus the Snow League is more individual-based. But regarding the Snow League, White was quoted as saying, "In the end, we really want to be that premier thing where it's amazing to go to the Olympics and win a medal, but this is like winning Wimbledon or the NBA Finals. It's almost more prestigious." I just want to get your weight on this, I mean, because I figure you can, reference professional surfing as kind of in the same sort of platform. I mean, my gut here is that this may succeed on one level, but that it will never be for the audience. The audience will never be there for this truly to achieve what they say they want to achieve. Like, what are some of can you draw any comparisons to like what surfing has tried to do over the years to make professional surfing a thing? Or to
they started calling themselves the league, and every surfer in the world threw up in their mouth. Like, it's the World Surf League. Nobody likes that. Like, I have good friends that work for the WSL. I'm sorry if you're listening to this, but like nobody, they know this. Like, there isn't a, and maybe we're considered old news. No one cares anymore. But there's not a core surfer on earth who likes the name World Surf League. What is this league bullshit? Like, why this is like to give it like an imprimatur of like some kind of like jockish thing, where it's like a real sport. Nobody wants that in the community. That to me, it seems like it's probably more palatable to the snowboarding community, because they've kind of always hitched their wagon to like the Olympics and that sort of stuff. Like, nobody in surf world really, other than the surfers, really, nobody cares about surfing the Olympics. Most of us would prefer it wasn't, so like
But just
so I don't know. Maybe it makes more sense a little bit for something like snowboarding. I don't know.
I just look at any of these things, though, as sort of like if you really... And look, maybe it's just, look, he's in a press release talking about what he wants this thing to be, so he's referencing like Wimbledon and the NBA Finals. I get it, but it's like, none of these sports can get to that level.
Of course not.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about whether or not, like, is there, what surely there's some kind of world championship of snowboarding now, right? Like, it already exists.
There's apparently like a lot of demand, though, for something better, which is kind of what part
I
of
can't
this is in
see.
response to.
I have a hard time imagining that. I mean, it takes a long. Well, I guess he's probably in it for the long haul. It takes a long time for these sorts of things to sort of like gather any kind of momentum or develop any kind of cachet where people care.
Yeah.
Right. Like it seems like it would be kind of a while. I don't know why it would replace the Olympics. I mean, like that already seems like a really big deal. Sort of the
it's
X
not going to replace
that. Seems like a huge deal to people in that community already. So I don't know why this would be cooler. The league thing to me, that to me says that there are people involved that are outside the world of snowboarding, who are trying to tap into some kind of the same sort of like bullshit that people have said for fucking ever. Like, we're going to turn this into a mainstream thing, and we're going to capture the dollars in Kansas and all this sort of shit. Like, we've been doing this for a long time, and like snowboarding might have gotten closer than most, but like, I have no idea if that's the case. But I mean, the X Games League, I mean, is this the same like marketing firm? Like, is it like one consulting group that's like
we have to work the word league into it?
People are going to.
I mean, I look
it's
at
wild.
like the WNBA and women's professional hockey, which women's professional hockey is apparently this past season just started to maybe get some traction. The WNBA just started to have like a season where people are, like the last couple of years starting to get actual coverage, like headlining SportsCenter and things like that. And that's basketball and hockey, like two sports
Huge
that have
sports.
Mainstream appeal. And the WNBA took literal decades to start to take off, and it really didn't until superstars kind of started to break through, and the public was ready for women's basketball to be a thing. And I just don't, to your exact point, and for snowboarders, if this is the right thing, snowboarders out there, you can write in myrockfight@gmail.com and say that, yes, this is the right thing, and I will believe you. But if you're saying that this is going to attract anyone who's not already on the inside, I just don't see it. I would never watch this. I don't care. I don't care about half-pipe snowboarding.
Like, unfortunately for this sort of discussion, like my frame of reference is solely rooted in surfing because I don't pay attention to snow sports other than like adventure snow stuff. And this is not my I don't know.
But there's a good comp here, though.
Yeah,
right?
but surfing did it, and also it kind of ruined it. Like, I mean, like viewership numbers are lower than they've ever been. At least again amongst like actual real surfers who care. There's like virtually no prize money anymore. Like, they're like pulling teeth to get sponsors. Like, it's not going well.
Was there a window though where the athletes really benefited from the WSL?
Yes.
Like, there was. How long did that last?
Not WSL, but like the ASP. Well, first of all, there was no surfing professional league until like the 70s, and they made it, and like it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there was a period probably in the mid to late 90s, where the ASP was, I mean, it was huge. And like you could get people were like climbing over broken glass to sponsor tour events. And like surfers made a fortune, low level pros were like making a couple $100,000 a year. Huh. So, but that's gone.
That's gone,
and that's a lot of that has to do with just industry shakeups and stuff like that. But I don't think they're trying to they're trying to do what they're trying to say. Okay, look, you don't have to have as much sponsorships. We're going to pay a bit more in the purse, so that like you can make a living as just being a competitor. But they're losing so much money. Like I'm not sure how much longer they can do that.
I guess it all depends because if ultimately though, if this is being done probably for the athletes, right? Like so you're saying there at the beginning when there was a window where pro surfers like really excelled and were able to make real money with this. I imagine the next year, I'm sure there's going to be a handful of snowboarders here who are going to do really well. It'll get a bunch of attention. They'll actually make money doing this versus what they would have done normally. So
yeah, probably. I mean, if they're creating this out of thin air and there's not already a tour, then it makes all the sense in the world.
I think the thing is, it's how to your exact point, and surfing's probably a good comp here, is like how sustainable is it, right? If all of a sudden there's and I'm wrong, and there's interest in this, and like Peacock comes knocking, right, and is like, hey, we're going to televise this, and here's NBC network money. Then maybe there's, I'm eating crow in 2 years because like, oh my God, now look, people are following this and watching these events. And it's a big deal to see these 5-6 events every year because it's Shaun White and it's snowboarding and we've made it this big deal. I think that's going to be a tough hill to climb, but there's, that would probably be the most likely outcome where this is successful, right?
Well, I'll tell you what I would do is I would probably put it behind a paywall. Like I would just be like, okay, look, we're going to have,
bring back
this is going to be a subscription. Kind of. Yeah. Like this is going to be a subscription thing. Like the 50,000 or whatever.
Tyson and Jake Paul and the Snow League.
Well, not like that, but I mean like, like I would do that. Like even though I still like to watch surf contests because it's something about the fact that it's live. I don't know. Even though, but I don't like the product. I don't like how they've jockified it.
Yeah, but you're watching good people surf. But I'm still surfing.
Yeah, it's cool. And at a good wave, it's cool. It's unscripted, whatever. It's not edited. I like that. So I would pay, I'd pay $20 a year to the WSL to like watch that or something like that. Like, so that to me would be the smart thing to do because I don't think you're going to get haven't we been trying to get like mainstream audience behind this stuff for decades and decades and decades? Like, why would this work now? I mean, they'd be smart to do a paywall and then like, I don't know, pay some 11-year-old kid to figure out how to like package this on various social media platforms I haven't even heard of, and like go that route.
Well, we'll see. I mean, maybe they're the one. Maybe the Snow League breaks through. Maybe they're the ones who figured it all out. I still would rather watch. Like what would be cooler is if you've ever heard like the like Norwegians that like in World War II that just like basically went and like attacked this German very early like nuclear power plant. They're trying to figure out how to like enrich uranium or something like that, like in Norway, and like these like thank you, heavy water, uranium, I suppose that would be, right? They these just like Nordic like skiing badasses in Norway were like, and just like went up and like destroyed it. And like how rad is that? That's what the Snow League should be. It's espionage and snow sports.
Yeah. Well, yeah, dude, that's why everyone likes the biathlon. Like that's all I really want to watch is biathlon.
I mean, this goes back to one of the first points we make is that like everyone just keeps trying to make the sports we love a thing. And it's like, and honestly, I like snowboarding. I've snowboarded and had a great time. I'm not interested in watching snowboarding. I don't want to watch. I won't watch. I'm not going to watch mountain biking races I watch the Olympics because there's a whole other reason to be invested in it. Right? I don't have a favorite
just
outdoor
raw
athlete.
jingoism.
What's that?
Yeah. Just jingoism. Just raw, pure.
I got my fucking like red, white, and blue on. I got my Budweiser. I got my Pit Vipers. I'm ready to go. I'm growing my mullet out. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Well, lastly today, according to SGB, Amazon plans to replace 95% of plastic air pillows with paper fillers and cease using plastic air packaging by the end of 2024, which will eliminate almost 15 billion plastic air pillows annually. This is in response to concerns raised by environmental groups, including Oceana.
You mean the largest international advocacy organization dedicated solely to ocean conservation? That Oceana?
Why, yes. Man, that just rolled right off your tongue. You had that memorized.
Well, I didn't even think that's just how I would think to describe it.
Excellent job. I'm sure they would approve that copy. Matt Littlejohn, which is his real name, from Oceana, said that Amazon's effort to reduce plastic waste is welcome, but there's still more the company can do. Matt Littlejohn. Little John. Can you imagine growing? I mean, is Robin Hood still a thing? Because you grew up with the name Little John. That could be cool. I could be good or bad. I'm just saying.
Wait, I can't remember. Was there a character specifically called Little John? There was, right?
Yeah, this guy who fights in the river or whatever. He ran
That's right. Oh yeah.
But he's big. That's the whole thing. He's not little. He's a big dude.
He's not little.
But
he's the guy. He's the guy that my dad fought on the rolling logs in the river. Right?
So first off, here, credit where credit is due. I don't care if it's Amazon.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
They need to lead.
Pitching.
Would love to see this in more brands. I mean, what do you think, though, when you see stuff like this?
Oh, well, they wouldn't do it unless it was cheaper for them. I mean, there's no...
So right? they just cracked, here's actually how we make it cheaper. Okay, we can do it now?
Sure. I mean, like, why in the world... What about Amazon or Jeff Bezos makes you think that they've actually, like, really give a shit about something like this?
Well, so it's funny you say that, because this is where I always look at the outdoor industry when it comes to environmental stuff, which is always more expensive, whether it's fabrics or packaging or whatever it is. It's more expensive to do the thing that isn't
the right way,
mass produced on a gargantuan level, right?
Sure.
So you're the outdoor industry. You say you make stuff to enable us to go outside. So you have to lead in that regard. We're going to do the hard thing that's more expensive because we care, right? So like just as we were writing this and about ready to record, Burton announced on LinkedIn that they're ditching poly bags for glassine, which is apparently a packaging made from wood pulp and fully recyclable. And it's, everything's still wrapped in poly bags. I mean,
I don't get that. I mean, there's probably a good reason for it, but like, I don't understand why I open a box, why it's in a bag.
Well, because it can get stained, it can get damaged. It does offer a level of protection and making sure that your product gets to you or the store. Because if you go to a store, that's just hundreds of garments wrapped in, people just throwing away plastic bags all day long. And it just seems like an easy one. I'm not saying it's not more expensive, but it doesn't get cheaper until you do it.
I mean, I long for the day when I get a product from, well, first of all, I would like to be able to just go down the street and buy something. I mean, I can go to an REI.
Yep.
But it's kind of far away.
Yep.
But I long for the day when I don't have to order something online because there's a store down the street.
All of those who went to the store are still in poly bags.
In plastic bags. Yeah.
They don't come in like bulk, not wrapped individually in plastic bags.
I don't know. What are you going to do? It's like, I'm sure that feeling of horror is everybody has it that works in the outdoor space. Like, oh my God. But like, what are you going to do? Quit your job? What
do you mean? The horror of all the plastic bags?
Yeah. Like, are you going to write a letter? Like, I don't even know what we're supposed to do. It's not like
in the worst case,
anybody.
everything's like labeled up with hang tags of like how sustainably made it was after it was shipped in a plastic bag.
Yeah, like I mean, it's awesome, but like unless we get massive government subsidies to figure out how to do this without having to pay for it, then I just.
What do you think the trickle down effect of Amazon doing this will be? It's got to be significant, right? If they're going to do less of it, won't other companies be like, "Well, it's cheaper for us to do this"?
Well, maybe. Like, I mean, I will be honest with you. I'll think twice if I order something from a brand and it shows up in like the most inefficient packaging possible with like tons of plastic pillows or whatever,
in a styrofoam container.
I don't think I need to order anything from this brand again. Yeah, it matters to me when it's not like that.
Yeah,
like it's not because I want it to be fancy or have some sort of bobo touch to it. But if I get a package and it's in something that isn't plastic, I'm going to think about ordering from you
nice
again.
Work.
Yeah.
Well, good on you.
But it's
Amazon.
Also. Yeah, well,
score one for you, Bezos.
I can't join you there. I mean, I'm glad that they're doing that, but I don't trust them. I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure that it turns out they're going to like, oh yeah, this glassine. But is that Amazon or that's Burton?
No. That's Burton.
Whatever Amazon's going to use. Oh, it turns out it's like filtered from the blood of children that we enslave somewhere to make this.
It's the only way we could get this paper to optimally protect the vibrator you ordered. So
I mean, like could Bezos just give up like one of his mega yachts? Would that make the same difference?
Of course. But
that's what would turn my head. Not this.
Well, all of these billionaires, just write a check and you can.
Why don't we just get them? Let's just get them.
This is the Ray Stantz and Ghostbusters maneuver, Get her!
What? Yeah, kind of. Well, but successfully. Like, why don't we just get them? Like, why are we letting these guys run around? Well, you ever think about this?
Get them's pretty. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you proposing?
I mean, get them. I mean, get their asses. Let's get them. Like, what? Like, we all know that they're just. I mean, granted, they're probably on some Greek island all the time. But like, why do we let this? Why do we do this? It's just wild that we all sit around going, God, the billionaires are fucking us all up pretty bad. Anyway, did you see the new Tour de France documentary?
I haven't watched it yet,
When are we going to rise up, Colin?
Well, Amazon, Burton, I guess you get the environmental award for the week. Good job. All right, man. Well, we can wrap it up. Anything else going on? It's hot up there, huh?
It's hot.
Yeah, it's kind of warm down here.
Yeah, but that's all right. It's summer. God damn it.
It's got to be hot.
You know what I should do right now?
What's that?
I should just go jump in the creek behind my house.
You absolutely should do that.
Be cold as shit, but like, I'd be stoked.
You'd be stoked, and it's what, like 90 degrees outside?
Uh-huh.
There you go. All right, man. Well, guess what? The Rock Fight, it's a production of Rock Fight LLC. Our producer today was David Karstad, keeping us honest, making action figures, doing all the things that he does. For Justin Hausman, I'm Colin Truth. Thanks for listening, and here to take us out, it's Krista Makes. He's going to sing the Rock Fight fight song, and we'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Rock Fight.